Hello there, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Nightline. I'm Handy Gui. Let's dive into the news. Heavy rain are expected to occur over most part of Sarawak during this week from January 31st until February 6th. Temperature will be expected to reach between 23 and 32 degrees Celsius. Malaysia Meteorological Department website showed that Kuching district would be experiencing downpours and thunderstorm in the morning and afternoon. Rain is also forecasted in Lundu and Baut this week, with thunderstorms expected to occur starting February 2 onwards. Thunderstorms with downpours are also forecasted to occur in Samarahan, Serian, Sri Aman, Sarikei, Betong, Sibu, Kapit, Bintulu, Miri, and Limbang this week. Right, the number of flash flood victims in Sarawak has increased to 171 victims as of 12 p.m. today. Based on the report by the State Disaster Management Committee, as of 4 p.m. today, the evacuees comprise only of the people in Serian and Samarahan.
A new temporary evacuation center or PPS has also been set up at Dewan Baru Kampung Rimba Padi in Serian at 11 a.m. this morning, bringing the total number of PPS in Sarawak to 4. For Serian Division, a total of 84 victims from 20 families were placed at PPS Dewan Kampung Lintang Baru, 22 victims from 6 families in PPS Dewan Kampung Betong Kenawit, and 38 victims from 15 families in PPS Dewan Batu Kampung Rimba Padi. In Simunjan, only one PPS has been set up at Dewan Masyarakat Lupo Buntin. The PPS is currently catering to a total of 27 victims from 7 families. Meanwhile, according to Sarawak Fire and Rescue Department Operations Division Assistant Director Hendry Ardimansyah, apart from the 2 evacuation centers, there is no need to open another PPS. This is because the flood situation at other divisions in Sarawak is still under control.
Kami tak ada, cuma kita sekali berjaga-jaga sebab amaran management teknologi menyatakan kawasan kami yang dikata orang dilanda hujan ada di kawasan tengah lah. Serikei, Sibu dan Kapit. Jadi kita amat berharap kawasan-kawasan yang dirasakan oleh Jabatan Metro tidak dilanda banjir dan kita akan memantau keadaan dan cuaca lah.
Meanwhile, the Malaysian Meteorological Department today issued a yellow weather warning with a heavy rain expected in several districts in Sarawak until tomorrow. The districts are Kuching, Serian, Samarahan, Sri Aman and Betong.
Itu kita masih menetapkan amaran cuaca peringkat kuning tu di bahagian-bahagian barat di negeri Sarawak ini. Dan juga kita jangan lupa bahawa keadaan pasang besar masih berlaku hari ini dan juga esok lah. Lepas tu dia akan mula menurun dari segi ketinggian air pasang tu. So, jadi kita harap dengan ketiadaan hujan yang banyak di pendalaman tu dia akan menambahkan keadaan yang banjir itu akan menjadi lebih akan pulih lah.
The continuous downpour for the past few days are raising concerns among locals that have previously been affected by flood. Using the previous flood experience as a lesson, the public is more prepared this time around.
Based on the survey by TVS crew, the public has started to move their vehicles to the side of the road. Meanwhile, others have moved their household items to an elevated surface, while some moved to live with their relatives. Village Development and Safety Committee Chairman and Village Chief of Bintawak Hilir, Sulaiman Sahari, said committee member of each village has been chosen to ensure action can be taken immediately.
Saya jadi pengurusi JKKK. Kerana tiap-tiap kawasan memang ada ahli dan kuasa lah. Kami milih kawasan tu supaya bila berlaku hal masalah banjir, hal masalahnya kami orang akan berbincang bersama lah untuk mengatasi perkara yang saya dapat diingini lah. Ya, kami orang untuk bertindak dengan segera lah. Ya, ada yang telefon dengan bomba, telefon itu minta datang ke pusat banjir beritahu semua lah. Ya, jadi kita dapat kerjasama lah.
Meanwhile, according to Kampong Bintawak Chief Lahan Sabu, flood will happen due to continuous downpour and king tide. The worst flood that ever happened in Kampong Bintawak dates back to 2009.
Hujannya berterusan. Siang malam mesti berhenti. Dalam 2-3 hari memang banjir. Pasti banjir. Ya bergantung kepada air laut yang tinggi lah. Ya mesti banjir lah. 2009 yang paling dahsyat sekali lah. Semua tenggelam waktu yang paling tinggi. Yang 2016 yang terkini tu masih okey lah, tapi masih juga lah orang terpaksa dipindah juga lah.
Department of Irrigation and Drainage DID will implement a project to upgrade the drainage and mitigation system in Batu Kawah. The 120 million ringgit project is under the 12th Malaysia Plan.
According to Minister of Local Government and Housing Sarawak, Datuk Sri Sim Kui Hian, the project includes the enhancement of drainage system at Lorong 1C entry in Sungai Moyan, Sungai Sureh, Jalan Field Force, Jalan Ketitir, Desa Wira, and People's Housing Plan Area or RPR. Besides that, the rehabilitation works will also be implemented at a coastal area in Kampong Sinar Budi by consultants and project designer. On 30th January, Dr. Sim was briefed on the project details by DID Assistant Director James C. Mijek.
Right. The Ministry of Health MOH today denied issuing an authorization letter for the distribution of vaccines as claimed in an article dated January 29th.
The Ministry of Health also stressed that it has never issued any approval or authorization letter to the private sector or other parties to purchase or distribute the COVID-19 vaccine in Malaysia. The fake news notification was issued by the Ministry of Communications and Multimedia Malaysia Quick Response Team at 6:30 p.m. today. Thus far, only the MOH has been given the authority to manage access and purchase the COVID-19 vaccine. It is in line with the MOH's duty to enforce medical affairs through the agency, namely the National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Division and Non-Communicable Disease Section.
The Health Ministry has requested an additional 11,280 contract medical officers to be appointed to the public healthcare system to face the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Health Minister, Datuk Sri Dr. Atham Baba, said the latest developments of COVID-19 infections in the country showed that additional medical officers were required. The Ministry submitted a request to the Public Services Department to appoint medical officers for the purpose of supporting the healthcare services during the pandemic. MOH requires a total of 6,075 nurses, 900 assistant medical officers, environmental health officers, and 750 assistant environmental health officers and 600 specialists. Meanwhile, his deputy, Dr. Nur Azmi Ghazali, said so far a total of 3,591 health workers had been approved and the new recruitment was being managed by the Public Service Department SPA. He said the ministry also approved for the extension of the existing officers' contracts and the matter was now under JPA's consideration.
Hello there and welcome back. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today expressed hope that the people will continue to practice self-control and adhere to the standard operating procedure SOP set by the government while the country is facing the COVID-19 pandemic.
The King is of the view that COVID-19 transmissions in the country are at a very critical level and that there is a need to proclaim an emergency based on Clause 1 under Article 150 of the Federal Constitution. His Majesty had advised the people to remain calm and resilient during the implementation of this emergency and the movement control order for the security and benefit of all. The King, he added, had also urged the people to be disciplined in adhering to the standard standard operating procedures and all rules set by the government and government agencies during the emergency and the MCO. His Majesty wishes Federal Territory Day 2021 to all residents residing in Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya and Labuan. The theme of the Federal Territory Day, which is called A Caring Territory, the celebrations would begin with the special prayer program Wilayah Persekutuan Bermunajat to be held simultaneously and virtually after the Maghrib prayers tomorrow at all mosques and surau in the 3 federal territories.
Now moving on to the COVID-19 development. Sarawak today recorded 135 new COVID-19 positive cases and 1 death due to the virus. The death, which was reported in Cebu, brought the state's total number of fatalities to 38.
Of the new COVID-19 positive cases, Cebu recorded the highest with 47 cases, followed by Miri at 32 and Bintulu with 15 cases. This brings the total number of cumulative positive cases in Sarawak to 4,450 cases. Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee, in a statement, also said that 1 new COVID-19 cluster, dubbed the Jalan Pengiran cluster in Matu, has been identified by the Health Department today. The index case for the cluster had been traced back to case 3,218 after undergoing an individual screening due to symptoms on January 24. With the addition of the new cluster, the state now has 11 active COVID-19 clusters. There were 5 clusters which recorded new positive cases today, namely the Pasai cluster in Cebu with 32, Rakut cluster in Miri with 16, Tabong cluster in Bau with 11, Bukit Sekubong cluster in Sabau with 1 case, and Bedayan cluster in Serian with 1 case. Malaysia's dire COVID-19 situation continued today, with health authorities reporting 5,298 more infections along with another 14 deaths. Today's reported cases were marginally lower than 5,728 from yesterday. According to the Health Ministry, Selangor and Johor both contributed to new cases in the 4-digit range.
Right, the Sarawak state government has decided to implement the Movement Control Order MCO in the districts of Kapit and Song for 14 days starting February 2nd until February 15th.
According to the Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee, or SDMC, the committee had a meeting which decided that MCO will be enforced in Kapit and Song from 12 a.m. February 2nd to 11:59 p.m. February 15 for 14 days. Previously, MCO was implemented in Cebu district starting February 30th until January 14, 2021. Based on the statement, 7 new COVID-19 positive cases were detected in Song today. Presently, the status of Kapit remains as an orange zone, giving that along with Sarikai, Subis and Betong districts, they recorded a total of 120 local transmission cases in the last 14 days. Meanwhile, SDMC said the police have issued a total of 13 compound notices to individuals who had flouted the standard operating procedures. It added that 7 of the compound notices were issued in Miri, followed by 4 in Cebu and 2 in Pedawan.
Full compliance of all Malaysians with the standard operating procedure is the key to curb the spread of COVID-19 in the country.
Dr. Nur Hisham said this because he acknowledged that there were certain relaxations of condition in the implementation of the MCO this time around compared with March last year. Therefore, he hoped that the people would play a role in efforts to reduce the spread of COVID-19 infection. Commenting on his visit to Kelantan, Dr. Nur Hisham said that the health facilities to treat COVID-19 patients in the state still have the ability to provide the best service, but from the aspect of human resource and medical equipment, they still need to be improved.
Right, moving on. Cebu Police have issued a total of 14,636 work-related travel permits from January 25th to January 30th for businesses categorized as essential services under the Movement Control Order. According to Cebu Police Chief ACP Stanley Jonathan Ringgit, as many as 384 applications had been rejected for various reasons throughout the same period. Meanwhile, Cebu resident Charles Xiao had said that the police permit application for work-related travel for businesses categorized as essential services under the MCO in Cebu Division was aimed at further reducing traffic movement. Xiao, who is Cebu Divisional Disaster Management Committee Chairman, had said that effective January 27th, employees traveling to and from work would require the police permit. Essential services include the manufacturing, construction, services, distribution trade, plantation, and commodity sectors, and only 30% attendance of the management team is permitted, while the number of workers is determined by the implementation of social distancing and public health protocol in the workplace. The MCO in Cebu has been extended effective midnight on January 30th until February 14th. Now, the public is reminded to celebrate the coming Chinese New Year festival responsibly. The State Disaster Management Committee, SDMC, has also recently announced that only immediate relatives visit with less than 20 people are allowed at one time. Minister of Local Government and Housing Dato Seri Dr. Sim Kui Hian said, as there is a surge in COVID-19 in Sarawak, SDMC had also announced that no public gathering or celebration is allowed. He said Chinese New Year celebrations should be celebrated under the new norms, strictly adhering to SOP laid by the SDMC. For this Chinese New Year, only immediate family members, not more than 20 persons at one time, may visit on the first day. Meanwhile, Dr. Sim, together with Mayor Kuching South City Council Dato Wee Hong Sen, dressed up the cat statue in Chinese traditional costume in conjunction with Chinese New Year. The white cat wears different costumes on different occasions every year, such as Hari Raya, Hari Gawai Dayak, Deepavali, and Christmas. Hello there, and thank you for staying with us. The Royal Malaysian Navy RMN expelled a boat carrying 25 illegal immigrants from Indonesia out of the country's water 4 nautical miles southeast of Pulau Angsa early this morning. In a statement, it said the junk boat was detected about 1 a.m. as a result of cooperation between RMN, Marine Police, and the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency Sector 5. The RMN vessel accompanied and expelled the boat from Malaysian waters at 6:53 a.m. Furthermore, the RMN is always boosting or banteng through cooperation involving various agencies under the National Task Force (NTF) to protect the country's maritime borders against encroachment by illegals and in curbing the spread of COVID-19. 7 individuals were arrested by the National Anti-Drugs Agency, AADK, after they tested positive for shabu last night.
AADK Sarawak Director Wan Madihi Wan Saleh said the suspects, comprising of 6 men and a woman aged between 20 and 40 years old, were arrested following checks that were carried out in Putrajaya, Petawan and Kuching by a team of 14 AADK personnel. Wan Madihi, in a statement, said the checks were carried out based on public complaints and their own surveillance. He added that all of the suspects were arrested under Section 3 in bracket 1 of the Drug Dependence, Treatment and Rehabilitation Act 1983. On another note, he also called upon the public to avoid getting involved in drug-related activities such as peddling, smuggling and manufacturing drugs.
A local man was detained by the police on Friday evening after he allegedly assaulted another man who was sleeping at a 5-foot way near a coffee shop in Jalan Boulevard today.
Following the incident, the victim sustained injuries to his body and was taken to Miri Hospital. The incident occurred around 6:45 p.m. when the suspect suddenly appeared and approached the sleeping man at the 5-foot way near the coffee shop and began to attack him. Shocked by the incident, the shop owner immediately called the police for help. Responding to the call, a mobile police vehicle arrived at the scene at 7:05 p.m. and apprehended the 29-year-old suspect. However, the motive behind the assault is not immediately known as investigation is still ongoing. According to Miri Police Chief ACP Hakamal Hawari, the suspect is being detained at Miri Central Police Station.
Road users are urged to take extra precaution when using Miri Marudi Road following slope erosion at several locations along the stretch. Transport Minister Datuk Lee Kim Shin has urged Public Works Department JKR to put up warning signages to alert road users of the danger. Lee, who is also Senadin Assemblyman, asked JKR to immediately carry out remedial and repair works on the affected areas. On the minor landslide at the junction to the Longhouse, Lee said it happened during a heavy downpour on January 28. Following the earth-shattering sound and tremors felt by residents in several places in Sabah and Labuan this morning, the police have denied carrying out any bomb detonation or disposal activities in the area. This was confirmed by Deputy Inspector General of Police Dato Sri Akril Sani Abdullah Sani. Akril Sani said the police had so far not received any reports from residents regarding the incident, and the police were conducting an investigation to detect the cause of the explosion and the tremors. Residents around the districts Sipatang and Beaufort in Sabah and Labuan were startled at about 11 a.m. today as they claimed to have heard a loud explosion and tremors lasting about 10 seconds. Meanwhile, the Royal Malaysian Navy said the sound of the explosion and tremors had nothing to do with the Borneo 1/21 military exercise it had conducted. According to an RMN spokesman, the exercise aimed at testing the readiness and agility of its assets in East Malaysia was only carried out on Thursday. The 32-year-old woman suspected to have abused her son, which resulted in the death of the 7-year-old boy in Taman Krubong Jaya last Friday, is not a mental patient, although she had received psychiatric treatment in 2019. Malacca Criminal Investigation Department head ACP Muhammad Sukri Kaman said the woman only received normal psychiatric treatment at the Malacca Hospital and was not confirmed a mental patient. He added the police did not obtain any report on the suspect having mental problem, nor had she been issued with a card for mental patient. The woman and her husband are in remand for 7 days since yesterday to facilitate police investigation into the boy's death. The child was allegedly drowned in a water tap in his house in the 4 p.m. incident. However, preliminary investigations found physical injuries on the victim's body. The body was taken to Malacca Hospital Forensic Department for post-mortem, and the case is being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code for murder. Looks like we have come to the end of the Nightline. With that, I'm Handy Gui. Thank you for joining us and have a pleasant night.